All right, we are finally back with another video. Feels like it's been like honestly fucking forever. Um, I know I posted an Instagram video like a week ago. I don't know. It feels like it's been like a month. And then the last YouTube video I did was the one over the Daredevil black armor. But yeah, this video has been long awaited. Um, I haven't been throwing it off. It's just life, stuff happens, band camp happened, so that's been like throwing me off with a lot of videos I've been wanting to do. Like, I got a couple different things I want to do, but I can't because band camp's like from like 12 to 8, or at least it was. Now I think it's what, 5 to 8 now. So but that's still, there's still time ticking away. Plus I did start school, of course. Today was the first day, for those of you that do know that, of course, know me in real life. But yeah, man, it's different stuff has been kind of eating my time away, but, I decided, fuck it, why not? I got time to spare, so might as well do the review now. And of course, this is the Superman review for my thoughts, stuff I noticed, whatever, just my comments and everything about the movie in general. But yeah, with all that being said, for starters, I think that this movie was, I'm not gonna say masterpiece, because there definitely was stuff that could have been fixed and retooled. But this movie was like, this really was like, when they said, this is gonna be the summer of Superman, they really meant that shit. Like, this was the summer of Superman. Like, I remember, because I've seen the movie like 3 times now, 3 or 4 times. The first time I saw it, I could not, like, literally could not stop thinking about it. I could not stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop, like, literally humming the theme. Like, I was playing punk rocker literally like all day, every day. Like, this movie was something like, this was like, I'm not gonna say the Superman movie, because you also have, you have Christopher Reeve Superman, but this was Superman. Like, this was the most Superman we've ever gotten since Christopher Reeve. And as a person whose favorite, like one of my favorite comic book movies was Man of Steel. Yeah, man, Superman takes the cake. And Man of Steel was really only my favorite movie because of the cinematography and the music. Hans Zimmer, like, literally the GOAT. But the cinematography in that movie was so good. But I'm not gonna go into it anymore because it's gonna go on a tangent about, of course, what this video is not about. But like, I can't describe it enough in enough words that, like, literally this was the movie. Like, this was the Superman movie. And I literally can't. Like, first off, like, the characters, like, everybody who played their character, like, James, like, either, like, he did his research and he laid it out to them, or they did their own research. I don't really know. I'm not too sure what was going on with the behind the scenes on that, but they played their roles. Of course, Superman up front, like, I'm gonna say Superman for last. Let's start with Lois. Lois, like, that was Lois, like that, punk rocker, hard head, I'm gonna do my own thing, I don't need anyone to help me or save me type deal. Like, that was Lois, bro. That was Lois. And I love especially the energy between her and Jimmy. Like, that was beautiful. And it made me think about Jimmy and Lois in Man of Steel in the DCEU, which, there was no Jimmy and Lois in the DCEU, because literally in Man of Steel, when Lois goes to the Antarctic to document, or whatever she's doing, I think she's documenting or about to write a story on Superman, because the fortress, which was, a Kryptonian ship, was in the ice. Of course, Jimmy was there, and we see him. He, like, I think he carries some of Superman's stuff. Or no, my bad. Superman carries his own stuff. Of course, they don't know he's Superman. But Jimmy's in the movie for like what, 5-10 minutes, and it he gets murked literally, like, by one of the damn AI robots, the security bots on the fortress, and it's like, oh, fuck, like, there goes Jimmy, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I thought about it too, because I did a lot of, like, compare and contrast from a lot of different characters, and yeah, bro, like, Man of Steel Lois, nah, she was cool, she had her moments, but not like this Lois. Like, this was Lois Lane. Like, that shit was beautiful, bro. Like, I loved it, and I loved the banter scene between her and Cal in there in the apartment, and they're talking about the whole Bravia thing and all that, which was the majority of the movie, what was going on. I love that. Like I love that, and like it's so cool to see because unlike the DCEU, we saw everyone's origins again for like the 100th time, whatever. Everyone knows Batman, everyone knows Superman, right? But it's like the DCU or no, my fault. The Superman movie, it did such a good job. I feel like one of its best aspects was that it did such a good job at giving you that feeling of like this is your first time seeing these versions of these characters and seeing them interact with other characters, but it made you feel like you had already seen so much. Like in my opinion, it made me feel like I was riding with these characters since the start, since Kal-El crashed, in Smallville and landed, on the Kent's farm. Like it made me feel like I'd already been knowing these characters. Like James did such a good job at making their chemistry feel so real, and I just loved that. Right. So yeah, the whole Lois thing was beautiful. Jimmy again, phenomenal. Um, I love Jimmy's character. I know some people were kind of a little. I guess I guess on the edge would be a good phrase to use about Jimmy kind of being like a ladies' man in the movie, which he usually is in the comics. Not saying he's like he can't he doesn't have his way. You know what I'm saying? But like it's not a big character trait of his. But I thought that didn't really take away from the movie, at all or anything. But man, that like he felt like I just can't describe it any other way. Like they just felt like how they were supposed to feel. Jimmy felt awesome. Like literally, like it's like there's such small moments in the movie that makes it feels like more grandiose than it already did. Like the scene where when Cal walks into the building, he's on the phone with his mom, and they're talking. Everyone's talking about his new story that came out, and some people are giving him shit or whatever about it. And he's sitting down, and Jimmy walks on in. They're like kicking each other with their feet and shit, and like, I fucking love. Like I love that, bro. It feels so good and right. Hell, even fucking Perry White, dude. Like he was barely like he was here and there, but fuck it, that felt like Perry White. And honestly, too, I look at the DCEU version of Perry. Honestly, he felt pretty Perry as well. He had that like no bullshit, no nonsense kind of attitude, but still cared for everybody. I think the damn it. Every time I do one of these videos, the actors' names always escape me, but obviously what I'm talking about. He did a great job, for what he was given. But there's something about the Superman movie I just love it. You know what I mean? Um. So yeah, the whole Jimmy thing was great. I guess we can talk about. I guess fuck it. Let's talk about Lex. Lex Luthor. That nigga was a D1 hitter, bro. Like I mean, I have never seen a version of Lex hate a version of Superman so much. Like the Superman movie Lex. I mean, that nigga hated Superman. He again, the name escapes me, but he did such a good job. He did such a good job at like portraying that hatred that Lex has for Superman because I feel like in the DCEU we did not get that. Like we just kind of got like I'm trying to remember because it's been a minute since I've seen Batman v Superman. It just felt like Lex kind of hated him, like he like I mean every Lex's motive is because Superman's an alien and he doesn't rock with aliens, obviously, and also because he's also jealous. Like that's what a lot of people don't also see as well as that Lex is jealous. As smart and as brilliant as rich as he is, he's jealous. He's jealous that Superman has the eye. Like literally in the movie, he says when he gets into the fortress, he's like he calls me, he's like Superman. He's not a man, he's an it. He's like that somehow captured the attention of the entire world. Like it's the focus of the entire world. He's jealous. He is because he thinks he should be the savior of not only Metropolis but the world of itself. And that Superman, someone who was an alien from a whole nother world, came out of nowhere, is doing all these good things. That puts a lot of hate in Lex's heart. Because he is jealous that Superman is this grandiose savior and he isn't. You know what I mean? But with all that being said, like. Again, James Gunn did such a good job at portraying this built-up hatred that Lex had for Superman. And again, in the DCEU, I really don't think that version of Lex like had that feel. Like, you know what I mean? It almost kind of felt like he was interested in Superman and he wants to mess with him and see how much he could break him. Like that's how I felt. But I could feel Lex in the DCU and that Superman movie that he genuinely hated Superman. Like what was it? One point where I think he was at the Pentagon. He was talking to everyone. He was like, and they were talking like, so you somebody was talking about, oh, so you want us to just round up all metahumans or whatever? And he's like, not all metahumans, and one of the points he makes is that Superman, of course, has the Fortress of Solitude, which he says is illegal because, Antarctica is shared by a whole bunch of different countries. But he also says, because, not any of the other metahumans are aliens, you know what I mean? And that is such a big thing for Lex that, like, if Superman probably wasn't even an alien, he wouldn't even have that much problem with him. But the fact that he is very aggravating towards him. Like the most popular meme for Lex is the one where he's screaming at the monitor and he's like, 1A, 1A, 1A. I see that shit all over the line. But like, that nigga hated him. Like genuinely. I mean, literally at the end when Supes comes in with Terrific and Crypto and they're they disable the rift, right, and close up Metropolis. I mean, this dude is literally, the camera literally pans onto him and he's literally looking down, face all mad and scrunched up. It's literally, his eyes are literally watering. He's crying. You know what I mean? And you might look at him like, like, what a bitch. Like, he's crying. And, I would agree, But, like, it just shows you, like, it's so funny because it just shows you how not only egotistical, but how stuck up his ass Lex is. He thinks he has all these things that he should be the one that that leads everything. You know what I mean? He makes all these comments throughout the movie, like the one about when someone says, like, when they mention my name with someone like, fuck, I forget who he used. He used some historical figure, and he's like, I tied a bomb, it does burn the back of my throat. Like, do you hear that level of hate? Like, and that's not even talking about Superman. That's just like, he thinks he's just the best at everything, like the greatest mind the world has ever seen. Don't get me wrong, Lex is super, super smart. But it just like, James nailed that part of Lex that is like, I'm the best, you listen to me, and all of that. Like, that just, it all, combines together, for who Lex is. And I just love that. Like, I cannot wait to see that version of Lex again. I cannot wait to see he gets out of Belle Reve, because of course, which he will, no one stays in a prison for long in a superhero in a comic book movie and gets out, just how it is. But man, Lex was good, bro. He was a bitch, especially towards old girl. I mean, she was kind of an idiot, but she didn't really deserve that. But man, Lex was really good. I loved it. He was cold hearted, especially that scene where he takes the dude from the little food cart in Metropolis and he puts him on the chair and he's like asking him questions. He's like playing Russian roulette with him. And literally the second shot he shoots him, he's like, I didn't expect it to go that fast. You know what I mean? And then he's like, he even tells Supes when he's leaving, he's like, maybe y'all bring in that reporter you always do, reviews it, maybe I'll kill Clark Kent. Like, he just anything to get the answer. This nigga don't care what it takes, and like, I just love that. Like, in my opinion, I don't think any other version of Lex has like shown that real hatred. And maybe I'm wrong. Again, I have not seen Batman v Superman and the Christopher Reeves movies in a hot minute. I'm not gonna lie, but from what I remember, yeah, man, that was Lex, bro. That was Lex. But moving on from that, we'll talk about some of the Justice Game characters. So for one, of course, we didn't get much of them in the movie because, of course, this is not their movie, and a lot of people, before the movie came out, were talking about, oh well, they felt the movie was gonna be very convoluted and like there was gonna be like no direction because obviously Superman's in there, but then of course they revealed Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Isabella Marcet as Hawk Girl, and then my boy Darwin from the X-Men movies, as Mr. Terrific, right? And so people thinking, oh, they're gonna have all these heroes in this, they're gonna have no direction, and that's another thing I want to kind of jump on real quick and point out before I get to the rest of the characters. This movie, of course, wasn't top notch with the pacing or the direction. Obviously, no movie is usually ever that ever like nails that like just perfect. There are movies that do, but of course it had its problems, right? And I want to also say that too. Like, as much as I'm going to praise the movie in this video, it did have its problems, right? So, but yeah, it didn't feel like that. Like it just like with all the characters, it just felt like an established universe, you know. And it's not really hard to do. You give the characters the right amount of screen time to make them feel like you know you give them the right amount of screen time, you give them the right amount of dialogue, and you give them the right stuff to say, and it makes it seem like this has already been a thing for a minute. And when you don't do that, then that's when the movie starts to feel convoluted, feels like you don't really know what you're doing, and inevitably it just falls apart because it doesn't feel like a Superman movie anymore. It feels like almost like a Justice League movie. You know what I mean? With all the characters, but I feel like it did a good job at that moment. I feel like there were some times where maybe it could have been a little better with some of the stuff, like the whole the scene where I'm drawing a blank. Where Jimmy goes to meet with Lex's girl in the alleyway. I feel like that was kind of like a little bit dragged out. Maybe not as much needed, but I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was fun. But moving on to the Justice Gang characters, Hawk Girl. Not much to talk about because she wasn't as prominent as someone say like Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific. Of course, Mr. Terrific was the most prominent Justice Gang member, and I will get to him. But Isabella Marcet's Hawk Girl, for what we got in the movie, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, there's really nothing to go off on for any of the characters, for any origin sakes, which we'll probably get eventually. Maybe we'll get like a Hawk Girl spin-off show or something like that. But I thought she was good. She kind of that little snarky attitude that I'm almost trying to blank on what version she's playing. I am trying to blank. I'm not gonna lie. Holy, I don't know. She was she was playing the version of Hawk Girl. I actually can't remember which version exactly. But yeah, I feel like she was good for what we got. Guy Gardner, man, bro. Guy Gardner's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Nathan Fillion, man, bro. It's funny too because this dude he voiced Hal in the old animated DC films for like, of course, the longest, right? And then James brings him on and has him do Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner, and man, did he deliver! I mean, what can I say? He was cocky. He was kind of an asshole sometimes. He was that hot shot. I'm better than everybody else in this room, and you can't tell me any different. And that is Guy Gardner. Literally the scene where the kid is holding up the flag and Moravia and in the country. He's like, he's yelling Superman, and then of course, I think someone's about to shoot him or something, and Guy puts like a box over him, a construct, and he's like, what is he? He's like, Superman can't be here, but you got somebody better. And he lands down, and this, he makes the giant hand constructs and the giant middle finger construct. Like damn, bro, like, that's fucking Guy Gardner. I saw that shit and went ballistic, bro. I was like, holy fuck, like, nigga, that's Guy Gardner. James did such a good job he just all throughout the movie, he did such a good job at telling everybody, what to do and like how to do it, and the actors just, they heard it. And boom, they delivered it. And it gave such a good format at what these characters are supposed to be. And it's just like, damn, you know what I mean? And like for the first time seeing Guy Gardner in live action, we've gotten him in many animated films and all that. Just chef's kiss to Nathan Fillion. I cannot wait to see him in the Lantern show. But man, he was awesome, bro. He was awesome. And I love every like banter scene he had with everybody. You know what I mean? Like the one, it wasn't really a banter scene, but the one where he walked in on Soup after everyone learned the truth about his parents' message. And like Superman was like, back off, guy. And he was kind of like, oh, let's go, Big Blue. Like, I love the little shit like that, bro. It just, he was amazing. Then we'll talk about Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific. Oh, shit, I think it's been a storm. Holy, I don't know if that was being caught in the video. Mr. Terrific, like I was saying, he was terrific, all right? Like, I know niggas gonna give me shit for that. Probably Robert or some shit, or my homeboy Fernando, but I don't give a fuck. He was terrific. Like, damn, he was good, bro. I cannot wait to see, because he's supposed to get a spinoff show, I'm pretty sure, which, also reminds me, back to Jimmy real quick. I think Jimmy is getting a spinoff show, which I saw some people kind of complain, like, oh, what is Jimmy going to do and all that. I mean, it's not like he's going to be fighting fucking Brainiac or some shit or taking down fucking Parasite. He's just going to be like, I heard it's going to be kind of like a crime show about DC, about villains in the DCU or something like that. Also heard Gorilla Grodd supposed to be in there, so I guess we'll see. Back to what I was saying about Mr. Terrific, though. Man, homeboy, again, name escapes me, but homeboy delivered. He was Mr. Terrific, bro. He had that nice, like, I don't really show my emotions, but I fuck with you type shit. Like the whole thing where he leaves, right? With Lois to go to and find Soups in the Pocket Universe, right? He's just, thanks for coming with me. And he's like, yeah, no problem or whatever. He's like, but I'm only doing this so I can piss off Guy. And it's just like he gives her that little smirk. I just fucking love that. Don't get me started on his scene in the desert, or was it desert or was it beach? It was on sand, whatever. In his scene, with the song playing, it's like, no, fun. That scene, bro, oh my God, that shit was beautiful, bro. Each time I seen it, which was 3 or 4 times, biggest smile on my fucking face. Ear to fucking ear, cheeks hurting and shit. Fucking, it was amazing, bro. And he just kind of like walks off, he's like literally, they underestimate him when he first gets on. He's like, is it one of those Justice Gang dudes? He's like, oh, it's just a smart one. And the smart one kicked their fucking ass. But you know what I'm saying? Beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, literally after the movie, everywhere I saw it online, everyone was talking about, Mr. Terrific stole the show, like, which he did, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He was one of my favorite parts of the fucking movie. I loved Mr. Terrific. I loved him so much, dude. He was so good. Cannot wait for that spinoff show. Hopefully, they give us a terrific show with, eventually forming his own team, which he does in the comics, but brilliant. Am I missing anybody? I don't even know. Covered the Justice King. Oh, wait. I think it's somebody before Superman, maybe. Can't remember. Maybe I am missing somebody. I actually have no idea. And I'm so hyped just talking about this. I probably am missing somebody to talk about. Shit. I'll probably remember when I'm done. But Superman, the main course. Literally like Lex says, the focal point of everyone in the world. And it translates to real life. Is he good? Is this Superman? Is he better than Henry Cavill? I know all the fucking Snyder fans, or niggas on Reddit call them the Schneider fans. I know them niggas raving, about this nigga David. But that nigga David delivered. James Gunn gave him the script. He read that shit. And he was like, yeah, I got this. And he put that shit on. He put that shit on film. He put that shit on film. And I loved Henry Cavill Superman. I did for the longest. But then I seen that movie about, 3, 4 times? That shit changed my mind. Give me David. David was the one that got the trunks put on the suit. James wasn't even going to do that, right? James literally came out and was like, yeah, it was David who decided that. And then James at first was the one that was like, yeah, nah, we're not gonna do that. But he was so persistent with it and so adamant that Superman needed trunks that he got that shit put on there. And then it came out, how long did the movie come out? Like, 2 months ago now? I actually don't even know. I'm not gonna lie. I could be way fucking off, but I really don't care. Yeah, and they come up with the concept art of what he would have looked like. Fuck no. I'm so glad they gave him trunks. It's beautiful. Like, and I feel like that's what Henry Cavill Superman suit was missing. Like, it looks good, but that's also what it was missing, and the whole fake abs and all that shit that came with it. But back to what I was saying. This nigga David, he literally delivered. I mean, I'm down from like the way Superman interacts with everybody in the movie, down to the way this nigga flies in the sky. Just doing whatever he's doing, right? All right. Sorry about that little cutout. Had to go take care of something real quick. Where was I? Yeah, from the down to the way this nigga flies. I want to talk about that. So in the scene where the kaiju comes, he's attacking the city, right? Before I get to that, I want to talk about what makes Superman Superman and the difference between David Superman and Henry Cavill Superman. So in the movie, the kaiju is fucking up everything. I mean, this dude literally was finna take out Martian Manhunter's favorite little snack company, Chacos, right? If you don't know, that's a deep cut for Martian Manhunter. He loves Chacos in the comics, so that was a nice Easter egg by James Gunn right there. He literally about to like blow their shit out with the fucking fire, right? And David Superman comes in and blocks it or whatever, right? And literally when the Justice Gang comes in and they're trying to like kill this thing, right? Because he's destroying everything. After everything this kaiju thing was doing, right? Tried to kill him, tried to kill the Chaco people, all that. This Soup's like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? You know what I mean? And some people might be like, why is nigga trying to save something that's like trying to destroy the city? Because he's Superman. And I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. Another thing, probably one of the biggest things I've heard about in the movie is when Soup saves that damn squirrel. When he literally sees the squirrel, and goes scoops it up and put it back. I literally, the first time I saw it, I was looking and I saw my mom look at me. She looked at me and was like, that little smirk on her face. And I didn't give a fuck. I was locked in. I didn't give. Somebody could have literally got their head blown clean off in front of me, and I promise you, I wouldn't have batted a damn eye. That's how locked in I was. People all over the internet like, did this nigga really just save a squirrel? Did he really just save a squirrel? Why did he do that? Because he's Superman. Because he's Superman. Because he's Superman. If you think Superman saving a squirrel is stupid and doesn't need to be done, then you don't know Superman. Because Superman would save anybody. You could kill 12 people because you woke up and felt like it. And guess what Superman would tell you? There's still a chance to change this around. There's still a chance to turn your life around and do the right thing. Yeah, you killed 12 people because you felt like it. You shouldn't have done that. That was bad. But I'm not going to beat you senseless because you did that. I'm going to show you how you can switch this around and be pointed in the right direction. And you know why he's going to do that and why he's going to say that? Because he's Superman. Because Superman is supposed to be the symbol of what we as human beings are supposed to be. This is why Henry Cavill Superman failed so much, because he was treated like, or he wasn't treated, he acted like, in some cases, like a god. And I always see this clip online where it's Henry Cavill in the Capitol, and he looks over and everything gets blown to hell, and he's sitting there aura farming or whatever. And I agree. There are literal scenes where he's aura farming or whatever, and it just doesn't work because Henry Cavill Superman is played out to be so godlike that he can't be Superman. Like, yes, Superman has all these godlike powers, and if he wanted to, really could rule over everyone like he is some type of god, but he isn't, because he's as human as all of us. Literally, the speech he gives Lex at the end of the movie. I'm as human as everybody. I wake up, I get scared, all of that. Superman is supposed to be us. Yes, he has powers, and we can't do the same shit he does, but that's what makes Superman so special. Someone that can do things that we can never dream of doing, but yet can be so human just like us and fail like us and be scared like us and get up and try again just like us. And that's what makes Superman Superman. You know what I'm saying? And it's such a beautiful thing, because him saving that squirrel just shows you how much detail and how much care and love went into this movie. I saved the squirrel. Like, would you do that? If you were walking down the sidewalk and you saw a squirrel sitting in the street eating an acorn, and you saw a car barreling towards him, and it was like, I don't think that car's gonna stop. I don't think that squirrel's gonna move out the way. Would you jump in and do a tuck roll and save that squirrel? Would you? No. But guess who would, though? Superman. And that is the most beautiful thing. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That nigga saving the squirrel. It was, because that is what makes Superman Superman. Doing the stuff that we would never even think about doing. Even minuscule stuff like I said, saving the squirrel. Trying to save a giant kaiju monster that almost burnt these people to death in an office building. And yet he still was trying to find a way to save this thing. And that right there is what makes David Coleman the Superman, in my opinion, right up there, of course, next to Christopher Reeve. Superman. It's raining hella hard right now. I don't know if you guys can hear that shit in the video, or if you will, but it's kind of attracting me. But anyways, like, that was one of the most beautiful things. But all that said, it was a whole thing. I gotta wrap this up because I gotta go eat dinner. Anyways, last couple things I want to say. Again, movie was phenomenal. Did have its faults, but I thought it was really, really good. Some people say the plot was kind of like, here and there, but I thought it was good, and everything, and I didn't think it was like anything like stupid or it didn't make sense or convoluted or anything, anything like that, right? So yeah, I guess we can talk about the post-credit scene real quick before I go. Kara coming in, of course. crashing through the fortress, you know, to get crypto. And of course, leading into the Woman of Tomorrow, or as it's right now called, just Supergirl. Same thing happened to Superman. And, you know, of course, this is literally going to be just like the Woman of Tomorrow comic, which is what it's based off, you know. He literally says, you know, he's like, you know, oh, she likes to go off to, you know, planets with red suns. And because, you know, yellow suns, when we're in the presence of a yellow sun, you know, we can't get drunk or whatever. So she likes to do that. And, you know, it's shown in the movie, you know. And of course, they pay off the whole thing with crypto, you know, about him, like, literally beating her shit into the fortress. And that's why he's such a brute in the movie. But yeah, so I thought that was cool. I'm really excited for her as Kara. Cannot wait to see Jason Momoa as Lobo. Cannot wait. Years of begging and pleading have finally paid off. I feel like I could have hit some more points, but I was trying to do this in a good time manner because I do have some other things I need to do. But yeah, if you guys want to let me know in the comments or whatever, what other videos, or not what other videos, what other things I can touch on from the movie, sure, yeah. Just let me know and I'll do them. But that was my little review, whatever. It's going to be like 31 minutes long. You know, watch it all if you want to. If you don't, you know. At the end of the day, ain't really about the views, ain't really about none of that. Really just for me, an outlet for myself, for whoever else wants to watch, you know. But yeah, that was my thoughts and reviews and stuff about the Scream movie, and I will see you guys when I do the next video, which will probably be about Eyes of Wakanda, most likely. So, peace.